What's up? Okay, let's talk about cold calling. So for today, we're gonna go over everything about cold calling: mindset, volume, beginning, middle, and handling objections. So my whole goal for by the end of this video is that you can take what you've learned, go and actually apply it, and be booking anywhere from 2 to 5 meetings per day, whether you're cold calling for your agency, whether you're cold calling for life insurance, like whatever it may be. Okay, so this is cold calling 101. Bear with me, these markers are absolute, they're not good. They're so skinny. Thumbnail. Okay. So not once have I heard from someone that they really enjoy cold calling. Okay, I'm weird. I kind of like it sometimes. It's kind of fun. The mindset that we need around it is where everything begins. If you don't have the right mindset, it's just nothing's going to work. So in terms of your mindset, you have to choose one of two routes, because most likely you're in a position where you just don't want to do it. So one option is you have to embrace the suck. So that means you understand that you don't like it. You come to terms with the fact that you don't like it, but you do it anyways because it's required. The other route is you find a way to have fun with it. So a good example, like Giuliano Mozzarella, bro has so much fun with it. He whips on his music, he's dancing, he has so much energy. Okay? Those are your two routes. Learn to have fun with it or embrace the suck. Now, whenever I'm telling people about cold calling and they go, okay, how do you do that? You get rejected so many times. It's so scary. It looks pretty scary. The thing is, all you're doing is basically prank calling people with an end objective. Like that's how I look at it. You're just dialing them up. What are they going to do to you? The worst possible thing that they could do to you is press the red button, and then you just call the next person. So I really like to actually minimize the depth of the situation by understanding that it's really not that deep. It's kind of funny what I'm doing. They're expecting like a customer and I'm calling them up and I'm really derailing the conversation, which leads to some great conversations, some conversations where they really don't like me, but regardless, I just keep going. So for me personally, the mindset I have with cold calling is I don't have to do this. I get to do this. I'm choosing to do this. I want to do this. Every single person that I talk to, I am less than 1% of their day. They will not remember me at all. And because I care about the problems they may have, I will remain persistent in a kind way. I am super duper persistent. The biggest thing about mindset leads into the next thing we're going to talk about. If you are judging yourself based off of the outcomes that you get from cold calling, you're just setting yourself up to be really sad by the end of the day. You should judge yourself based off of your volume. Volume is the number one most important thing in cold calling. Volume. I don't care if you're the best cold caller in the world. If you're making 10 a day, the guy that's decent at cold calling but making 150 calls every day will beat you. So volume is the most important thing. I hear it all the time. Amber, I tried cold calling. It didn't work. What do? I'm like, okay, how many calls did you do in the week? I did like 20. What do you expect? You called 20 people. Okay, when I first started the business and our only form of acquisition was cold calling by myself, I cold called at least 125 businesses 5 to 6 days a week for a month straight. That was our only form of acquisition. So I went ham on it. I just did so much to the point where it was unreasonable for me to not book appointments. When you're calling, you want to be tracking 4 metrics, okay? These are the 4 metrics you track. Number, okay, one second. I'm gonna write bigger for you guys. This whiteboard's tiny, the pen is skinny. Okay, you're gonna track dials, DMs, Prez. Oh, what a janky setup. And appointments set. Okay? This is going to be your ideal pipeline that I'm going to write down, and you have to track it every day because I'm going to show you how to read a pipeline, and just from reading it, judge exactly what it is that you need to work on. Okay, then we're going to talk about those things that you might need to work on. In terms of dials, we're aiming for 150 dials every single day. DM stands for decision maker. So the owner of the business, someone who's actually able to be like, yeah, sure, let's jump on a call. Out of the 150 dials, you're aiming to talk to at least 45 DMs. Okay? Now, a prez is when you actually walk them through what it is that you're doing. You ask them any questions. You basically do your pitch, but all the way until you ask for the close. So, cool. And do you want to jump on a call on a weekend or a weekday? Okay, do you want to do it either later today or tomorrow morning? And that final question, when you actually you go for the shot, that's what counts as a prez if you get all the way through. So out of 45 DMs, we are going to try to spit out 15 prez. Okay? Now, out of the 15 prez, how many of those are actually going to be like, yeah, sure, let's jump on a call? What we're aiming for is anywhere from 2 to 5. Okay? Now, most people start their day calling and they just look straight here. So they go, okay, my goal is to book 2 to 5 appointments. But it doesn't work like that. You can't work backwards, right? It goes like this. It goes here to here to here. Okay, so you can't try to reverse it. Your entire focus cannot be on something that's completely out of your control. It has to be on the thing that is in your control, which is your dials. So the first most important thing about cold calling is your mindset. And then the second most important thing is making sure that we're doing at least 150 every single day. There's something called your LOA. Okay, your LOA stands for your law of average. Everyone has their own unique law of average dependent on their skill level. What it means is that if you do enough, eventually it will happen. I don't know if you guys have heard this. I heard this in like grade 5 or 6 and it tripped me out, scared me. It was weird. Basically, my teacher told me that if I go like this, like if I just put my hand into the wall enough times, eventually the atoms will form in a way where my hand will go through the wall. Like, it's just science. If you do it enough times, and by enough, I don't mean like a couple hundred, a couple thousand, a couple million. Like, you probably have to be sitting here for your entire lifetime doing this, and you still might not get it. However, it will get to a point where your hand would fall through, where it would line up perfectly. So you can kind of relay that to cold calling. Eventually, if you keep calling, there will be a certain amount of calls that you average out that gets you an appointment. So for me, I average 40 dials and I'll book 1 appointment. That's my LOA. On average, when I see people calling, maybe it's 70 calls and they book 1 appointment. Let's say your LOA is 115 calls and you book 1 appointment. That's okay. It's still a good number to know. It just means that we need more reps. We need to improve our skill. But you should know like roughly what your LOA is. So when we track our pipeline every single day, it gives us a really good idea of what's going to happen. Because let's say my LOA is 1 in 50 calls, okay? And I'm at 75 dials and I have 0 appointments. 0 appointments. I know that my LOA will eventually kick in. So I know if I do 25 more dials and get to 100, most likely in the next 25 dials, I will book 2 appointments. It's just the law of average. And if not, it'll probably carry into your next session, right? Sometimes it's not always super even. Like, okay, every single 50 calls you book 1. Maybe it's every 150 you book 3, but those 3 are like kind of near the end. When I was door knocking, my LOA, right? Every day my LOA was if I talk to 30 DMs, I'll close 3 of them. That was my LOA. And there was many days where I'd be at like 25 DMs and I haven't closed anyone. Like, I'm literally 25 for 0. But I would just keep going because I'm like, all right, in these next 5, my LOA is going to hit. It's also prime time, right? People are home now. It's the evening. I literally only have an hour left. I got to talk to 5 more people and I have 0 closed deals. There's multiple days where I went and out of those 5 people, I've closed 3 or 4 of them. So trust in your LOA. You guys, you know that one picture of like that the miner like digging for for diamonds and then he like walks away, but it's right there on the other side. That's the same mindset we have to have with cold calling. So I will always stress it so much that it is a volume game, no matter how good you are. Okay, I've been cold calling for not necessarily a long time, but I've done a lot of it, and I still have to make 40 calls to book one appointment. That's a lot of calls. Volume is huge. All right, let's talk about your intro. All right, let's break down the 3 different ways you can do it. First one is curious. It basically means if you're just opening with a question. So an example, when I was cold calling for our SMMA, we'd basically sell them like ads to get them more leads. Yeah, I just had a question for you guys. Are you able to take on another like 10 to 15 roof inspections per month at the minute? Right? And I would come in hot with a question and in a very curious tone as well. Okay? That's the first way you could do it. Any question. Second way you can do it is direct. Hey, John, this is a cold call. Do you want to hang up on me now? Do you want to hang up on me now, or do you want to give me like 15 seconds and then you can decide after that? Or, hey, John, would you throw your phone on the ground and stomp on it 20 times if I told you this was a cold call? Right? You're basically coming clean right away in whatever first sentence that may be by telling them what you're doing right away. You're just being super direct. Okay, then local. So you take the approach of being like a local person. I obviously only do this if you actually are local. So for example, my dad's a plumber. So when I was calling plumbers, I'd be like, hey, are you local in Vancouver? Oh, okay, right on, me as well. Yeah, my dad owns a plumbing company and he was just facing like a problem of XYZ. So I basically just built him a solution that does XYZ, and he was like, Amber, you should call other like local companies in the area and, see if they need it as well. So anyway, is that something you could have you even heard of that before? Like a virtual assistant, like an AI receptionist, right? I'm getting into the middle. I'm getting too far ahead of myself. But the approach with local, only do that if you have a relative or a friend or you know someone in the same niche that you're calling, and then you're calling your own city. The purpose of the intro is to just get them to keep talking. Get them to say yes, engage them, do something. Okay? It's okay to stutter when you're cold calling. When you mess up, it actually puts yourself at an advantage because it sounds like you're not reading off of a script or anything and you're genuinely just a human on the other side, and they're going to be more keen to listen to what you have to say when you stutter. So just think of that. If you stutter, don't get in your head and be like, oh, I messed up. Be like, oh, sick, I just put myself at an advantage. Okay. Now, in the middle of the call, obviously it's going to be different depending. Like, I really usually only teach the intro, the close, and then objection handles, because the middle is something we can't really prepare for. You just have to have a good understanding of your product and be able to ask high quality questions and have a conversation. But since that's not tangible, and if you're watching this to learn cold calling, you're gonna be like, bro, like, give me something, right? So in the middle, it's all about just asking the right questions. Because if I say, hey, who answers the phones in the evening time for you? Oh yeah, this girl named Nancy in the Philippines answers, and I'm really happy with what I'm paying her, and she's doing a great job. We already have something set up. Okay, do you think I'm still going to try to sell an overnight receptionist? No, because they don't have the problem that I solve. So instead, I'm going to shift the focus and ask questions around a different problem that I solve. Okay, nice. That sounds really good. Does Nancy also like follow up with clients after a quote is delivered, or do you do that yourself? No, I do that myself. Okay, cool. Just out of curiosity, like, how many times do you follow up with them after delivering a quote before you're like, okay, this guy is just wasting my time? Oh, we usually follow up like two to three times after. Okay, cool. And then boom, you go into your pitch because you've found a problem. 2 to 3 times isn't an efficient follow-up system. Okay, he had an efficient answering system in place, but he didn't have an efficient follow-up system. So the middle part is you're literally just asking them questions until you find a problem that you solve, and then you go into your pitch. And your pitch should literally be no more than 1 to 2 sentences, because they don't have time, right? They weren't expecting this call from you in any way. So our pitch shouldn't focus on all the features of our product and what it is that we do and when we started and blah, 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 blah. Our pitch is just focusing on the fact that we have a solution to their problem and we've built them a demo or like something that they can touch and try and feel themselves, right? So for example, the follow-up example, no, I just do that myself right now. Okay, how many times do you follow up with them before you give up? About 2 to 3. Okay, yeah, that's actually exactly why I'm calling. So basically, I just build out efficient follow-up systems for roofing companies. We plug it in, and then it follows up with every single customer until there's a clear yes or no. And in doing that, obviously, you're going to get more no's, but more yeses stumble across the way. Like we find a lot of people close in like month 3 or 4. If you were able to follow up with every person without having to do it manually, do you think that that would lead to more closes, like maybe even in the future? Right? And he'll go, oh, maybe. Okay, awesome. I actually built you a custom demo for company name to show you exactly how it would work. Okay, wait. This is a spoiler alert. I'm getting into the end. Okay, that's the end portion. But in the middle, your only goal, find their problem. Craziest cold calls that I see, and not in a good way, are the ones that are like, hey, is this John? John, I was just calling to see if you're interested in blah, blah, blah. And then they start talking about the product. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you don't even know if they have the problem that you solve yet. As a salesperson, all you are is a professional problem solver. But before that, you're a professional problem finder. Okay, so we just have to work on asking the right questions. If I were you, I would, and you know, cold calling kind of scares you. You don't really like improvising too much. You want to come with some sort of preparation for the middle piece specifically. I would whip out a Google Doc or a notebook, whatever, and I would write down a list of questions that I would ask someone to decipher whether or not they have a problem that I solve. For me, it could be, who is answering your calls at nighttime? What happens after a customer goes to voicemail? Do you already have a good, consistent follow-up system in place? Scratch that, ask open-ended questions. How many times do you follow up with someone before giving up? What systems do you have in place to bring in repeat clients, right? So I would literally just make a list of all of the possible questions you could ask, and that's the middle part. The part that a lot of people mess up is not knowing when to transition from the middle to the end, so they kind of stay in the middle for too long. And the answer is pretty simple. You're going to leave the middle part as soon as you find the problem that you solve, as soon as it's come to light, okay? Then you're going to step in to the close. I have a very simple system for the close. It's, I made you something. When do you want to look at it? And then you give 2 options, okay? I'm not saying, okay, what color do you want? I'm saying like black or red. This gives the, this is going to sound so messed up, but it gives the illusion of free will, but really you get it your way, no matter what they pick. Because if you're like, what color do you want? They could say, none. I don't want a color. But if you go, okay, do you want red or black? It's going to be easier to choose one. Okay, red. Right? So same thing when you go to the close. You're going to go, okay, cool. That's actually exactly why I'm calling. You do your 1 to 2 sentence long pitch. You go straight into the close, which is cool. I actually built a custom demo for company name so that you can see exactly how it would prevent you from losing more clients just because of a follow-up system. When do you want to take a look at it? Either later today or tomorrow morning. I'm giving an option. When do you want to look at it? It's very simple. The close is super simple. It's just that people don't do it fast enough. I have gone for the close in like 30 seconds of a cold call because the problem came up right away. Hey, John, are you guys fully booked for this month? Nope, we're not fully booked. Okay, so you're taking on more clients? Yep. Okay, are you looking for ways to like get more clients right now? Potentially. Okay, cool. That's actually exactly why I'm calling. I built a custom, I was just looking at your guys' website. I built a custom system. I have an idea on how you could get a bunch more leads this month. When do you want to take a look at it? Either later today or tomorrow morning? And he goes for it. Not everyone is as chill as that guy. That's super rare. That's like 1 in 2,000 calls, right? But the point that I was trying to make there is like you can go for the close. There's not a certain time limit for when to go for the close. It has to happen in conversation. So, okay, the problem has come up. Boom, pitch, close. Let's say that I book 10 people in for an appointment. 8 to 9 of them required objection handling. So we're actually missing out on quite a few opportunities by not being on game with our objection handling. So the objection handling I'm going to show you guys can be used at any point. If they give you an objection early in the call, or if they give it after the close, okay? I use a framework called the 3 R's. So it's simple but not easy and requires a lot of repetition and requires a lot of practice. But the first R is relate. So when we're relating to them, we want to make their objection feel heard, even like valid. They completely understand. You're going to get onto the same team as them. You never want to enter a combative state right away when someone gives an objection, and that's what 70% of salespeople do, or they do a really shit relate. So someone will be like, look, I just don't have time for this right now. Yeah, but so I'm calling because immediately you're fighting. Not good. Or they'll be like, yeah, I get that, but, and then they just move on. So that relates really poor. A good relate is when you talk slow and say a sentence like, I completely understand, or that makes total sense. Then I'll add something. So I kind of do a relate and repeat. But I don't want to confuse you. So if you're kind of super new to this, just relate. But if you're pretty good at improvisation and whatnot, you can go relate and repeat. I just don't have time for this right now. Yeah, fair enough. Like, you probably got a lot in your plate, especially with the new year. I just agreed with them. You relate. You get on the same team. When I used to go door to door, and I would sell internet, and this company was called TELUS, right? And a lot of people did not fucking like TELUS. Like, TELUS messed them over on their bill 17 years ago, and they're still holding the grudge. Like, people get mad. And often, like at least once or twice a day, I'd knock on the door, and I'm wearing TELUS shirt, it says TELUS, and they would open it and be like, fuck you, TELUS, like, get off my door, like, get out of here. And they were like mad. And I saw a few people, and the way they dealt with that was like, oh, like, what happened? Like, TELUS has the best coverage, and boom, competitive. They're like going against them, trying to tell them why they shouldn't be mad at TELUS. But really, the best way to go about it that I found, the second they start hating on TELUS, I'm on their team. It's me and them versus TELUS now. I'm like, oh my goodness, tell me about it. Thank you. TELUS, I gave it to my family. The service is just so bad. So what happened to you? What'd they do to you? First, they get so thrown off. Then they're like, I kind of like you. Okay, we're on the same team. Yeah, this is what they did to me. Now, instead of them being mad at me, we're both mad at the same thing. So we're on the same team. All right, then it could lead into some questions. I'll be like, yeah, well, how's your service right now? And 8 times out of 10, they're like, well, my service is still shit. Because once a complainer, always a complainer. They're like, my service is still bad. You can't work with anyone good around here. I'm like, yeah, I mean, at that point, it just comes down to like, what's the cheapest option? Because they're both bad. So what's the cheapest option, right? They're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, how much are you paying right now? I'm paying $85. Got them. Because my price is lower. And I just established all they care about is price, and they're both poor services. So when someone would come out and they're actually really mad at TELUS, I started closing like quite a few of them. I would actually love that objection, like perfect. Anyways, that's an example of a good relate. So we want to get on the same team as them, okay? Then we are going to reframe. We're going to reframe their objection and explain to them why it's the exact reason why they should do what we're asking. That's it. So we reframe it, and I always start with this word track. Okay, I actually don't want to write it all, sorry. That's actually exactly why I'm calling you today. Or when I did door-to-doors, that's actually exactly why I'm here today. And then you fill in the blank. Now, I can't teach you this. Oh my gosh, I can actually. We're going to sidetrack for a second, but it's going to be a really good sidetrack. Okay. First of all, what is an objection, right? An objection is just when you ask someone to do something and they don't do it. An objection is whatever the reason as to why they didn't do it is. Okay, so there's really only 5 types of objections. And I'll explain to you why you should know the 5 types. It's good to know. The 5 types are time, decision maker. Oh, this whiteboard is so annoying. decision maker, finance, preference, or stall. Okay? There's literally only 5. Tell me one objection that doesn't fit into one of these categories. They all do, right? And it might not come across like this. They might be like, oh, I don't have enough time. They might say, I got a lot on my plate. Look, I'm really busy right now. Look, I got to run. That's all time. Decision maker, hey, I'm not the decision maker. Might be like, okay, I got to talk to my partner about it. I'm 50-50 in the business, okay? I got to run it over by my wife. Then finance, okay, it's just not in my budget right now. Look, we're looking over at some money things, like we don't have it right now. We're not trying to add any more expenses, okay? Preference, I'm not interested. We don't want any AI things right now. That's not really up my alley, okay? Stall, send me an email. Call me next week. Can you call me back later, right? So while they're not going to say it in these specific words, anything that they say, because people tell me, like, oh my God, they could say a million different things. They could give me a million different reasons as to why they don't want to buy. How can I come prepared knowing what to say? They can technically say a million things, but those a million things will fall into one of these 5 categories. So you don't have to come prepared with a million different responses. You just have to come prepared with 5. So I will actually give you a reframe for every single one of these. You guys can probably tell this isn't scripted because I literally just remembered that I can share that with you. That'll be helpful. Okay, cool. Let's give an reframe example for each one. Time. Look, I'm too busy right now. Yeah, I completely understand. You probably got a lot on your plate, especially with the new year. That's actually exactly why I was calling you today. I was hoping to handle all of your inbound and outbound calls for you, just so you have more time to put towards, like, you know, the higher revenue generating activities. Decision maker. Look, I got to talk to my partner about it first. Yeah, completely understand. I want you two to be on the same page. That's actually exactly why I was calling you today. I already built you a custom demo, and I was hoping to jump on a call with both you and your partner. That way, if he has any questions for me, I'm able to answer it both, like, for both of you right then and there, so everyone's on the same page. And then you go into the third R. It's just too expensive right now. Yeah, completely understand, especially with the new year. I feel like everyone's kind of tying down on what it is that they're spending their money on. That's actually exactly why I was calling you today. We built you a system that saves lost revenue every single month from the business. Now, my whole goal is to generate you additional revenue, right? If it's not doing that, like, the last thing I'd want you to do is pay for our service. Preference? Look, I'm just not interested. Yeah, fair enough, man. You probably hit like 5 of these calls a day. I'd be super annoyed as well. That's actually exactly why I'm calling you today. I know you've heard a lot about it, but you probably haven't seen it in action. That's why I built a custom demo for your business, so you can just give it a look and, you know, make sure it's something that you're still not interested in without someone breathing down your neck, like telling you all the details. And then I go into the third one. 5, stall. Send me over an email. Yeah, sure, 100%. I can send you all the details. What would you like included in the email? This, blah, 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 blah. Okay, awesome. That's actually exactly why I'm calling you today. So I'll include that in the email, but I'm also going to send over a Google Meet link because I built you a custom demo, so all of your questions will actually get answered live. Like, you'll be able to try it out yourself. Also, like, when's the last time you read an email that was as good as a conversation? So it'll just be 10 to 15 minutes, and then I go into the third R, okay? So the third R is resume, right? After all of my reframes, did you notice how I didn't, like, ask them a question or anything? We're not pausing either. We're not just going to stop talking after the reframe. We're going straight into the resume, which is book them in. So time, yeah, completely understand. You probably got a lot on your plate, especially with the new year. And that's actually exactly why I'm calling you today. I was hoping to handle all of your inbound and outbound calls for you so that you can put your time towards higher revenue generating tasks. Now, I built a custom demo that you can check out. It's made specifically for your business. When do you want to take a look at it? Either later today or tomorrow morning. See, so it happens all in one go. All in one go. With our delivery of it, our tonality is going to change for each one. And we're going to jump into more detail of that in a second, because the most important thing about cold calling isn't what you say, it's how you say it. Now, you need to have what you say down, but really anyone can do that. Anyone can memorize a certain set of lines that say this when they say this, say this when they say this. But the only difference between cold callers is their level of delivery. All right? So this is objection handling. to recap, there's only 5 types of objections that you can get, and you can come prepared for any objection by just having your reframe down for each one. Then you relate and resume, and you sandwich that reframe. Okay? I'm going to delete the 5. You better have them down. Okay. What we're going to go over is how to say it, how to speak, how your cadence should be on the call. Because we've gone over what to say, right? How you can open certain openings, what to do in the middle, how to close in the end, how to handle objections. Really, those don't matter if you're talking like this. Hi, John, it's Amber calling. I'm just curious, are you guys taking on more clients right now? Boom! Get hung up on. Get absolutely hung up on. So what we need to talk about, and it's honestly the most important thing, is your 5 vocal foundations. Okay? Your 5 vocal foundations, how you'll train it, we're going to go over each one. I'm going to explain each one. When you're practicing your pitch, and when I say practice, you're practicing on leads, okay? No more of this bullshit, I'm going to call my friend and practice with my friend. Like, you're not wasting leads because cold calling, they're cold leads already. They're already like bad leads. So just call them anyways, get the practice in, and then if you get better, just call them again next week. They get these calls all the time. Okay, ready? Oh, I didn't even tell you how you're going to practice it. Basically, you're going to go through one at a time. So you're going to be like, okay, I'm only going to practice this one for today. And I'm only going to have my focus on this vocal foundation. Why? Because at the beginning, you will put some brain power towards what you're saying. So you'll have not enough to focus on all 5. So you just scramble your own brain and then it gets like kind of confusing. But one at a time, okay? The first one is your rate of speech. Your rate of speech. So it's simple, right? It's just like how fast you talk and then how slow you talk. And when we have the ability to vary our rate of speech, we become someone who's engaging to listen to. Most people talk at the same rate of speech their entire life, and it's really boring to listen to. Super duper boring. Okay? We can notice, like, all of a sudden, if I start talking really, really fast about something, it shows that I'm passionate about it. It shows that I'm excited to talk about it, right? But then when I slow down, all of a sudden, the words that I say sound so profound, but I'm not saying anything. Like, I literally said nothing in that sentence, but it sounded like I was spreading, like, the new Bible, right? So, the ability to vary your rate of speech. Hey, John, yeah, it's just Amber calling. I was just wondering, are you guys, are you able to take on another, like, 10 to 15 appointments per month at the minute? Right, sometimes I'm going slow, sometimes I'm going fast. It's easier to listen to. It's easier on the ears, okay? Second one is you guys definitely can't see this, wait. Is your volume. This is just how loud you talk and then how quiet you talk. And this more so pertains for like public speaking and whatnot. Same thing on a cold call though. Like, if you're cold calling them and you're like, hey, John, are you guys able to take, and you're like talking super quietly, what do you think this displays? It shows that you're pretty nervous. Maybe you're not super confident in what you're talking about or what it is that you do. Now, if we go to the other spectrum of that, we don't want to be too loud. Hey, John, can you, like, okay, it shows that you're kind of obnoxious. You have social unawareness, and that you're like clearly selling something, right? You're talking in that like vendor style way, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, we're not doing that. Now, you can vary your volume at certain points. I would say it more so pertains to like closing calls, because let's say you're digging deeper on a sensitive issue, I lower my volume to remove resistance and to, like, here's an example. If someone says, yeah, to be honest, I've had a goal of 500K in a year for the past like 10 years and we just haven't been able to do it. I'm not going to be like, why do you think that is? I'm going to be like, oh, okay, well, why do you think that is? And I lower my volume to make the situation less confrontational. It's easier to talk about because it's like, you've just mellowed everything out, right? I'll increase my volume if they talk really loud to match theirs too. So it's just something to be aware of. Like, your volume speaks volumes. Okay, like, no, actually though, your volume in your rate of speech, even though these are things that we're not saying, and it's just something that's observed through the conscious and subconscious brain in humans, it plays massive, massive roles. Okay, these next two are even more important though. This one is your pitch. Your pitch is how high you talk and how low you talk. Okay, that's your pitch. This, oh my gosh. You ever heard people are like monotone when they talk? It's basically because they just use the exact same pitch. They usually use the same rate of speech and the same pitch, and they're so boring to talk to. So boring. Okay, this is a side note for any girls calling. I used to train girls in door-to-door, and regularly they were much harder to train than guys because they would come from a retail space. So they used to like work at Aritzia, for example. How do people at Aritzia talk? Hey, welcome to Aritzia. Are you looking for anything specific today? Right? And they have that like customer service retail voice, which is okay, especially when you're working at Aritzia. Why? Because the second you step into Aritzia, you're basically announcing to everyone in there, I am in a buying state. I'm walking into the store with somewhat of an intention of buying something, right? So when you're in a buying state, someone can approach you with that buying voice, with that salesy voice. And if anything, it makes the experience even better because you're like, oh, they're here to help me. That's so awesome. And they're like, okay, so we can take a look over here at this one. And like, that's how they're talking, right? But for cold calling, door knocking, if we use that pitch when someone's nowhere near a buying state, when we've cold approached them, they didn't expect it, they don't want to be sold to right now, right? And you're like, hey John, is just Amber calling? Boom, you're getting hung up on because they can recognize that pitch. And pattern recognition, even if it's happening subconsciously, humans are very on top of it. So they're like, oh, she's trying to sell me something. Boom. Right? So we have to focus on, if you're a girl, like lowering your pitch a little bit. Like, this is probably how I normally talk. Like, this is my pitch. But when I was doing door-to-door, I would go and I wouldn't be like, hey, my name's Amber. I'm just in the area with TELUS. I would knock and I'd be like, hey, my name's Amber. I'm just in the area with TELUS. Do you take care of the Wi-Fi here? And I purposefully lowered my pitch a little bit, okay? We have to focus, when it comes to pitch, we have to focus at on the end of our sentences, because there's two types of things that we can do. We can either downswing or upswing. And that just means what kind of pitch are we ending with at the end of each sentence? Are we ending like this, or are we ending like this? And they both mean two different things, okay? An upswing is inviting and friendly, but used at the wrong time, it's like kind of fake, okay? A downswing shows authority, it's assumptive, but used at the wrong time, it's a bit dickheadish. Now, when we go to the closing line, okay, would you rather check it out on the weekend or the weekday? This I downswing on because I'm assumptive. You're going to get on the call with me. Do you want to check it out on a weekend or a weekday? Look, if I added the upswing at the end, would you rather jump on a call on a weekend or a weekday? That's so much easier to say no to. So much easier to be like, oh, none of them. Because that upswing is like inviting them to answer in whatever way they want. Weekend or weekday? None of them. Weekend or weekday? You see how subtle it is, but it's like such a crazy difference. So I don't want you guys overanalyzing the exact pitch that you use at the end of each sentence. Like, that will just lead to a big brain scramble. But it's more so just to be aware of the differences between each. And then because you guys should all record your calls, right? You should study your calls, especially the ones where you're like, fuck, I thought that was going good and I didn't book them in. Those are the most important ones to study. Because if you can listen to the recording, usually it's not what you said, it's how you said it. And we haven't gone through the last two, but you'll be able to break down these 5 vocal foundations and highlight exactly what it was that you were lacking. It might be as simple as, fuck, I downswing there. I didn't appreciate that. I should have upswinged. And you'll be like, okay, next time I'll do that. So instead of taking this and be like, okay, my next call has to be so perfect, like I have to do the right pitch, just fail a lot. like just fail a lot and study the fails, and then you'll be good. Okay? All right, pitch. And then fourth one is your tonality. A lot of the time, like I'll ask people, can you define tonality without using the word tone or pitch? And it's pretty commonly hard to do. And I even struggled with, I was like, okay, what's my definition of tonality for the longest time? And then I heard the best definition ever. And it was that tonality is simply the emotion that lies underneath your words. Oh, the emotion attached to it. That's why we can hear a song that has no words in it and we can be like, this is a sad song. The tonality of the song is sad. You could hear a song and be like, yo, this is upbeat. Like I'm happy. Because the song has the tonality of happiness. It's super cool. So we need to be able, a good practice, okay? You don't need to be able to do this. There's 6 core human emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, fear, and surprised. And if you can learn how to activate any of those emotions on the spot and showcase it through your tonality, not only will you be a better cold caller, you'll be a better closer, a better communicator in general. And if you're like, okay, Amber, slow your roll. Like I'm not trying to like get on the Broadway theater. Like I just want to cold call. I understand that, but this is huge and it sets you apart from the rest. And you don't need to like learn how to be such a good actor. All you need to do is utilize the remote control that we were gifted with, which is your facial expression. Watch this. If I look like really confused all of a sudden, my voice sounds confused. But then if I look really happy, I sound happy. Like you can hear my smile through my voice, right? And then if I look scared, right? You see? So it's all just in your face. So when I'm cold calling, my facial expressions are going crazy because I'm really trying to showcase that tonality. Now, this ties into the 3 R's. This is why I left it up here, and then maybe I want to erase it. I kind of like it. Your tonality for each one is different, and that's what makes it so good. For example, your tonality with relate is genuine. Your tonality with a reframe is confident. And your tonality on the resume is assumptive. See? I'm going to do it, and you got to really pay close attention because it's a very subtle shift. And it took a lot of practice to subtly shift tonalities through sentences. But watch this. Let's say they give me an objection of, okay, I got to talk to my partner about it. Yeah, 100%. Of course, I want you two to be on the same page. My face, I'm actually trying to look genuine. Of course, I definitely want you two to be on the same page. Now, that's actually exactly why I'm calling you today. Was hoping to set up a call with both you and your partner. That way, if he has any questions for me, I'm able to answer it right then and there for the both of you. So I did go ahead and build you a custom demo. When do you want to take a look at it? Either later today or tomorrow morning. Right? So there's shifts in the tonality, and if I kept it the same the whole time, like, yeah, 100%, I definitely want you guys to be on the same page. That's actually exactly why I was calling you today. I was hoping to set a call with both you and your partner, and that way if he has any questions, you see how it's kind of just weird now? Because I didn't make the tonality switch. Interesting, okay? Okay, 5th one, it's not really relevant, but I'm going to tell you anyways, so I'm not blue balling you. Okay, 5th one is pausing. I love how my writing's just slowly gotten more and more messy. But 5th one is pausing. We don't have to utilize it too much in a cold call, but in closing, it's really important. You know what? Cold calling, if there's ever silence and you are the last one to talk, sit in the silence. That's when it will be most use case. I've seen a lot of people, they'll ask a question and then there's silence and then they like for a second, I'm not talking about like 5 seconds of silence. There's like silence for a second, and then they immediately come back in with a new question, and they try to justify why they asked the question that they asked. And it's like, dude, they were probably just thinking about it. And now by talking again, you just told them that you're not confident in what you said to the point you felt the need to redeem it. So silence is okay. If there's like a 5-second silence, I'll just be like, hello? Like, make sure they're still there, obviously. But this is just kind of allowing for the words that you said to sit. and showcasing that you're confident in what you said and you don't feel the need to correct it. Okay? So that's your 5 vocal foundations. It's pretty interesting. Those 5 vocal foundations have saved me in terms of communication. I used to be one of those people that talked like this. My face, it all came from my face. I always looked really sad and down and tired. So this is how I talked. I can probably tell you, okay, this is a bit unrelated to this, but I'm going to touch on it quickly. I heard this the other day and thought it was really interesting. A mirror is not just a reflection of you, it's genuinely a reflection of your life. And every time you look in the mirror, if you're looking in the mirror like this, and every time you look in the mirror, that's what you look like, that's also what you sound like in all of these ways. That's the way that you're living your day-to-day life. But whenever I'm looking in the mirror, I'm like sometimes, I'm not always just smiling, and that's a bit freaky, right? Sometimes I'm a bit tired, but I'll literally be like I'm smiling, or I'm like I do, okay, I'm not able to show you guys what I do in the mirror because it's actually kind of weird, but I get excited, I get happy, I'm fulfilled in the mirror. You want to show yourself that because it sets the tone for everything. And the biggest thing about cold calling, again, I'm going to say it over and over, it's not what you say. It's literally just how you say it. I've used multiple scripts of all different intros, different middle parts, different closing parts. You could give me any script, a horrible script, and I'll still make it work because I will show the prospect that I am a fun person to talk to, that I'm not just a salesperson, that I'm a human on the other end that feels their energy, that understands them, and genuinely wants to help. So, we went over quite a few things. To recap, we need the right mindset, okay? The mindset is that we are just a professional problem finder, and we need to find a problem. And if we don't find a problem, we move on. And if we get rejected and we face failure, that's actually a really good thing because we're learning from it. And then we focus on volume and not outcome. So either you focus on the number of dials, or I'll even focus on the number of no's. The number of yeses aren't guaranteed. They aren't a guaranteed achievement. It would be a hope. However, if you flip that, the number of no's that you get can be guaranteed through yourself, through volume, through action. So if you tell yourself, today I'm going to call and I'm going to hit 30 no's, that's great because every time you get a no, instead of being like, oh, I got another no, you could be like, let's go. I'm one step closer to hitting my goals. Okay, awesome. Now I only need 28 more no's before I'm done for the day. And of course, we're not trying to get no's, but those no's will come naturally. And it's like, we kind of like it because that was our goal. And as we're getting through those no's, we will stumble across more yeses. The reason I don't put goals around yeses is because you don't need a goal around a yes. Of course you're going to be happy when you get a yes. You don't need to practice gratitude for the yeses. You don't. But you do need to practice gratitude for the no's because, again, with your LOA, every single yes basically has a payment. You need a payment for that in no's. So if 40 no's equal 1 yes, we got to put some gratitude towards these no's. They're what is getting us the yeses. Okay? And then again, for the intro, you can go about it locally, direct, or curious. I gave you some word tracks, I'm pretty sure. In the middle, just find out the right questions. Make a 1 to 2 sentence pitch of your product on just how it solves their problem in the simplest way. Tell them that you built them something custom. Book them in. Handle their objections. Use the 5 vocal foundations. Peace out.